We are learning Parashat Balak, and it's interesting, this parasha has no mitzvot in it. No mitzvot in Parashat Balak. But there are others also that don't have mitzvot, so that's not the main talk. But let's see. B'Sefer HaChinuch, Katav al Parashatenu. Sefer HaChinuch is the famous book on the on mitzvot, on the 613 mitzvot. It should be well known. There were many, over 5-6 Sfarim, well-known Sfarim that wrote the list of the 613 mitzvot, and they're not all the same. While the Gemara does tell us that there was 613 mitzvot, it doesn't list for us which ones there were. And throughout history, many of Hazal had different opinions. What were the 613 mitzvot? So Sefer HaMitzvot, Lahadambam, of Maimonides has one list, while Sefer HaChinuch can have different. The Ramban and Nachmani has another one. The Samak, another one. Sefer Mitzvot Katan, Sefer Mitzvot Gadol, the Samag. Now it's interesting to know that a lot of people, when I tell them this, they're like, what are you talking about? So I'll explain to you again, Mari. So I'm telling you again. Everyone agrees there's 613 mitzvot, and we also agree that there's 7 derabanan. What the 7 derabanan are is also a mahloket. Believe that, that's not for today. But what I'm telling you for today is that the 613 mitzvot, there's no agreeing party as to what they are. Some people count different pisukim as different mitzvot. Some count some pisukim as multiple mitzvot. Some count them as single mitzvot. They're different. But when it comes to aseh and lo ta'aseh, they stay the same. It's 365 and 248. That's still the same. 365 lo ta'aseh, 248 aseh, and that gives you 613. That stays the same. The number stays the same, but what they are changes. So a lot of times we use Sefer HaChinuch, but there are other Sfarim that have different lists for them. So he writes in Sefer HaChinuch, Seder Vayar Balak en bo mitzvah. It says in this parasha there's no mitzvah. V'chen b'sha'ah sefrei monei mitzvot keharamban, like the other books of Haramban, Nachmani. You'll see I'll always pronounce it properly so you remember. V'harasag, that's Rav Sa'adya Gaon. Lo eviu min parashat Balak shum mitzvah mitayag mitzvot. They also didn't bring a mitzvah. V'hine ikar haTorah hi ha-mitzvot sheba. And really the purpose of the Torah is the mitzvot that are in them. How do I know that? Because the word Torah comes from the word hora'ah, teaching. And mitzvot are commandments, are mitzaveh, to be tzivui, to do, command. וכמו שאמרנו חכמינו ז"ל in Kiddushin, page 40 עמוד ב', גדולה תלמוד שמביאה לידי מעשה. Great is the Talmud learning that it brings to doing. There's a big difference between learning and just walking away from the learning and not changing or having any direction or message, as opposed to learning and walking away with, hey, we learned here to become better in some way, or we learned a new halacha. And that's why it says, that the Shekhinah, you want to know where God really is? He's in the 4 cubits of learning halacha and law. Because if you learn the law, you're going to know what to do. Once you start to know what to do, you're going to start to get holier. You're going to start to get onto the path. You're going to start to learn more. So, you want to know where the Shekhinah is? It's in the Sha'arit Tziyons of the places that are learning halacha. That's the main thing. And so here in Kiddushin, page 40, is telling us that Gedol Talmud shemevi l'demase v'chol Hashem Torah nitna al shem horaot sheyesh ba, kemo shekadav achrei sikuni, like the rabbi of Provence in Bereshit 26-5. V'chol zot yesh lanu lilmod harbe miparasha zot. There's a lot to learn in Parashat Balak. Tremendous. Kmo de'ita b'midrash Rabbah lechach nichteva Parashat Bil'am. He calls it Parashat Bil'am. Lehodia lama salak hakadosh baruch hu ruach hakodesh me'ovdei kochavim. Why did God remove this spirituality, ruach hakodesh, from or akum, from the other nations? Shezeh amad mehem v'ur'eh ma'asa. He said, look at what happened when I gave Balak and Bil'am and I gave them power of all this ruach hakodesh nevuah. What did they do with all the nevuah? They did the wrong things with it. V'sefer shlah hakadosh. Katav in beparashos mitzvah me mitzvot taryag. There's no mitzvot in this parasha Balak. מכל מקום, כתיב בה, מה טובו אוהליך יעקב משכנותיך ישראל. This is the parasha that says that famous ma'amar that they do at the weddings, Sfaradi weddings, מה טובו אוהליך יעקב משכנותיך ישראל. ואמרו רבותינו ז"ל, in תנחומה, in משפטין 11, מה טובו אוהליך ביישובן, משכנותיך ישראל אפילו בחורבנן. אוקיי. כלומר, שיש לנהוג בכבוד בתי כנסיות שנחרבו כמו ביישובן. That when a synagogue is destroyed, you have to show the same honor to the synagogue as if it was already built in its full splendor. Which means, like we've been in Europe to the Baal Shem Tov's Beit Knesset or the Bach. I think it was the Bach that was the one that was destroyed. So there, technically, when you go down onto that soil where you're in the foundation of it, you have to treat it like you're in a regular synagogue, not to talk the wrong talk, don't act in the wrong way. It's a Beit Knesset. Interesting. V'ktita b'Masechet Megillah, page 28, Amud Aleph, Beit HaKnesset shecharav, a destroyed synagogue, in maspidin b'tocho. You don't do hispidim on it, eulogies. Ve'in mafshilin b'tocho havadim. And you don't put like groups of different random items. You don't put nets. You don't put on its roof fruits in order to dry them. You don't make it into a shortcut. And like it says in Vayikra, I'm going to destroy their holy places. That they have the Kiddusha even when they are destroyed. It's interesting. It has that. Domeh lezeh katab b'sefer Birkat Abraham, like it says in the book Birkat Abraham. Sheyesh lizmod miparasha zo derech hayim. We have to learn a way of life. V'tochachot musar. Kama yesh lizaher mimidot migunot. How much we have to be careful in bad traits, bad character traits. שהתורה באה לגלות לנו גודל הנזק וההרס שמגיע לחברו אם חס ושלום יקללו. And the Torah wants to tell you a blockbuster hidush. You might be under the impression, okay, not only that we can learn midot, but like if I curse someone and I say words, okay, it's not a big deal. It's just a bunch of words. No, the Torah is telling you. Look at what Hashem had to do to avoid this guy Bil'am from setting up this curse. He almost came this close for it to work. Hashem had to pull a maneuver in order to stop it. He's telling you a lesson, guys. Don't use your words and say things that first are negative both about yourself. I got a good advice from a rabbi years ago. The rabbi ended up moving to Lakewood. I bumped into him from time to time, whatever. He told me one good thing years ago, so I'll shmo. It's important to say it. He said, never say anything negative about yourself to your wife. That's what he was giving me advice about marriage. But I took it further. Don't ever say anything negative about yourself or anything that belongs to you for that matter, and always take care of yourself. I'm going to tell you a little private thing that I noticed. Baruch Hashem, I always used to take care of my cars, my vehicles. I used to always talk good about them, even if the vehicles were not always the best. I always spoke with it. And I had friends that always, they always complained about their cars. And I can tell you, I watched how their cars over the course of years got banged up, accidents, got hit there. And Baruch Hashem, I always spoke with it. And I sometimes, I learned this from someone. You speak to things that are inactive, and and Hashem will give beracha to it. Where do we know this from? That you're supposed to talk to things that are inactive. Where do we know this from? We know this from a very important place, from MITZVOT deoraita, which is in the Birkat Hamazon. The Birkat Hamazon is so interesting. You go to visit someone's house, and you give them a Birkat Oreach. But before you start the Birkat Oreach, there's a whole introduction to it. What's going on here? Suddenly, we're blessing the table. And Hashem should bless it with a lot of different types of meals. Anyone that's hungry will eat. Anyone who's thirsty will drink. And it should always have good, and it should always give good on this table. Well, what happened to what's going on here? Hashem was trying to tell you something. You got invited to your friend's house. You were only thinking you were a friend. You were under the impression thank you, my friend, for inviting me, feeding me, for sure. That I don't have to tell you. That's pashut. If you don't thank him, that's midot migunot. That's bad character traits. Someone invited you, don't even thank him, don't have hakarat hatov. No, I want to teach you a lesson. And you say, Hachamim were telling you, I want you to thank the table.
You eat on the table.
You eat on the table. You know, when you go on a trip sometimes, I go on road trips, camping trips. I know sometimes when you don't have a table, what it's like. Try eating without a table. But you want to put things down, it doesn't work, and it fell on the floor, and it got touched, it got dirty.
The table has the chut to be holding your food.
Holding the food. Right. But Hashem, the Chachamim, and Hashem is trying to tell you in a message. Thank things that are inanimate. Thank them. You think He's giving you. Okay, now I'm telling you, thank your table, but take the lesson. Thank your car. Thank the things that are inanimate, and Hashem will tell you. They'll thank you back. They'll be with you for many, many years. And you look at the Chachamim, their tables, they had them for 80, 90, 100 years, same table. Didn't change them.
The table out of the coffin.
And they would make it because it was a mizbeach. It was a mizbeach, and they would want to be buried. It would be, why? What was the reason?
Because when they spoke,
Rabbi Mansour gave the reason.
When they spoke the Torah, it would be a witness.
Exactly, that's Rabbi Mansour Hidush, that it would be a testimony to them that they spoke the Torah on the table, not Lashon Hara, and do it. But we learn a tremendous thing from here. We're not.
No, they take the table and make it out of the coffin.
Okay. And so you see here, you learn unbelievable lessons, Murray. Number one, that midot migunot, even if you are rich like Balak, Melech Moab, or you're a prophet like Bilam, the midot migunot can have a negative effect on the character, because Bilam was a big prophet like Moshe, and Balak was also very rich. He was a king. Another important thing. What else we're learning from here? We're learning thinking inactive things. By thinking them, you're going to have a berachah on them. Very interesting. Let's see, what else? Also, not using words. Words. The power of words. The parasha is telling you, because I was telling Murray before, that this parasha was not known to us. We didn't know about Balak and Bilam. This was a hidden story that we never should have known. Hashem told us the story. Hashem told Moshe to write it, and we found out about it in passing. And as a side note, a lot of people forget, but between the last few parashiyot and now, we skipped 38 years. Throughout the desert, we moved 42 times, Membet Masaot. But for the majority of 38 years, we didn't move. A lot of people don't know that. We were still in it. We didn't do a lot of movements for most of the time. According to at least some of the Mefarshim, Moshe Rabbeinu didn't get prophecy for about 38 of the years. From after Chet HaEgel, there was Yom Kippur, there was Chet HaMeraglim. After Chet HaMeraglim, by the way, until now, you know how many times? That's 38 years. That was the end of the journey, and now we're at the end of the journey. Where are they now? They're at Moab. Where's Moab? Moab is by Yarden, by the Transjordan area. They're about to go into the land. That's it. Miriam passed away the other. Now Miriam, Aaron, Moshe Rabbeinu is going to pass away, and that's it. We're going into the land. So remember the time of how things are passing. Okay, let's continue. A person should be very careful not to curse his friend. And when I say this, a lot of times people don't realize they're cursing their friend when they're saying you. A lot of times they're giving examples. They're saying, Has v'shalom, if you fall off the thing, if you fall off the cliff, or if your business does this, he doesn't realize that if he's talking to another Jew by saying you, he is cursing the other Jew. I'll explain to you what I mean. If you were to write this down, and write down what are the words that person A said to person B, and you look at them, it is the person saying you should do this, even though he's saying it in a tone that is different and intending something different. He is saying the words. Hachamim, we're always very careful to say, don't say that. Let's say someone, somebody, talk about it in a different tense. It says here that if God would have been angry with Bnei Israel at that time, Bil'am could have had the ability to curse and would have been successful. Ve'ulam, ayin ma shekatav lekaman beparasha zu ala pasuk, vayomer elav malach Hashem al ma hikita et atoncha. When the malach asks, the malach Hashem says, why did you hit the donkey? He asks Bil'am. By the way, I don't know about Malachim asking you any questions whenever you did anything or me. So, but Malachim are asking Bil'am these questions. The Data Rambam, according to Harambam, in his book Moreh Nevochim, Yalfinam min pasuk zeh din sa'ar ba'alei hayim deoraita. We learn from this something unbelievable. According to Harambam, that a person who hits an animal sa'ar ba'alei hayim, it's an avon deoraita from the Torah, because we see that the malach is coming out of its way to rebuke Bil'am, who is a prophet like Moshe. Why are you hitting animals? Why are you making animals suffer?
We learn from this?
It's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable lesson. The tzad ba'alei chayim deoraita. ובעין החשיבות פרשה זו יש לציין לדברי חכמינו ז"ל במסכת ברכות, page 12, בקשו לקבוע פרשת בלק בקריאת שמע. They wanted to add parashat Balak as part of Shema. So you would have had Shema, ve'ahavta, ve'haya, ve'yomer, and the story of Balak. מפני מה לא קבוע, מסכת ברכות, page 12, it's the famous Gemara. Why didn't they do it? משום צורך ציבור. It would have been too long. Well, it goes to show you how far the Chachamim are. They care about the people. Come on, let them do the Shema in 3 minutes. The guy is going to spend 15 minutes doing Shema. He's never going to do it. They're not going to be comfortable. Which meant to show you that Chachamim, when it came to doing this tefillot, they intended you to do that quickly.
Right, not to bore you.
That's what it seems like here, because if it was about adding more, they said no, we didn't want to add more. We would have added important things like Balak. We don't want to add it. It was too much Torah, which meant to tell you that the tefillah should be focused, but it should be quick. It shouldn't be an extended tefillah. וביארה שם הגמרא שרצו לקובעה בקריאת שמע מחמת שחמשתו של הפסוק קרא שקב כארי כלבי מי יקמנו. פירוש רש"י דדמי לבאושך ובקומך, שהקדוש ברוך הוא שומרנו ושוכבנו וקומנו לשכם שלויים שקטים כארי כלבי. So he's saying that like the Shema, what do you mean? Why would we act Balak, the story of Balak, into the Shema? Because just like Hashem protects us when we are sleeping and we are awake, when we didn't even know about this story, we didn't know that this was going on. Hashem's like, I just protected you. What are you talking about? Oh yeah, I'm going to give you a story. There was a king here, and it was about to hide. We didn't know about this. Hashem told it to Moshe. And so Moshe wrote in the Torah. We didn't know. That's the whole blockbuster of the story, is that we were being saved. Hashem said it should be in the Shema. Just like you go to sleep and you wake up, you talk about the Torah thing, and I'm protecting you at all times. Just like that, this should have been there. But that, because of the longevity of the prayer, this is brought down in Berachot, page 12, Amud Bet. That's a Gemara. אגב, אציין שפרשת בלק אינה הפרשה היחידה שאין בה מצווה מתרגנית. Oh, by the way, remember we started by saying, there's no mitzvot in this whole parasha Balak. There's other parashiyot that also don't have mitzvot. What are they? שמצינו כדוגמתה עוד 15 פרשות שאין בהן mitzvot. 15 others. So this is the question.
15?
15. So,
I said 5.
No. 5 before, we were talking about parashiyot that have the name of a person in it. Now we're saying which parashiyot here have no mitzvot. So that's the riddle for today. Which parashiyot have no mitzvot? It's actually a total of 16 because it's 15 plus this. So let's go, right? Noach, Vayera, Chayesara, Toldot, Vayetze, Vayeshev, Miketz, Vayigash, Vayichi, Shemot, Vayera, Pekudei, Bamidbar, Hazinu, Zot HaBeracha, and Balak. 16 do not have mitzvot in it. So that is the riddle.
That's a good riddle of the day.
For this Shabbat, you're going to ask your kids, and they could sit on it. If they could even figure out the 16 parashiyot, and give them an extra piece of kugel. Okay, Maureen, I know you have kugel on your on your Shabbat table, your Syrian Shabbat table. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.